Hey friends, okay, we're making a good country supper today. We're going to do a pork pot roast, but let me show you what we're going to use for our pork. We are going to do these little country style ribs, okay? I have them all seasoned up here. Let me show you. I just put them in this pan because this is what we're going to cook it all in. We're going to sear these up and then we're just going to put it all back in here because it's going to cook and it'll be fine. But let me tell y'all, so some of you may know this, but some of you may not. Country style ribs is basically the same thing as a Boston butt or a different kind of pork roast. Now, these are the boneless country style ribs. You can get the ones with the bone in, and those look identical to a Boston butt, just cut in smaller pieces. These look more like a boneless pork roast that you would buy, but they all have the same flavor, and I love to use these for a pork roast, and so that's what I call it instead of the country style ribs. Now, these are so good to make so many different things with. You could even do like a barbecue rub on these and then make barbecue out of them. They're delicious for very many things, but today we're going to make it just like a pot roast, okay? Whenever I was growing up, pork roast is what we always had whenever we had roast. It wasn't until I was much older I started doing like the chuck roast, the beef roast, which I love, but I've not had one like this in so many years, and so I'm so excited to have it. So let me show you what we got here. I've got everything ready. We're going to sear these up. I have my skillet over here, and I'll tell you in a second what I seasoned these up with. We're probably going to do this in 2 batches because we have quite a few here, y'all. But y'all, if you've never tried this as like a pot roast, then I want you to try it because I think you will love it. They cook down so good, and they're so tender, and they're just delicious. All right, let me get that on there and put that lid on there, keep some of that grease in there. So what I seasoned these with, y'all, I just did some all-purpose season, this Nature's season. I did a little bit of my Cavender's. Y'all know I love this. I just about can't cook nothing without it. That, and then I did paprika because I love that good color that it gives. And this is just a very inexpensive seasoning, and I love it. And then I did black pepper and drizzled a little bit of olive oil. And I've just had them sitting here for a few minutes because they sear up a lot better if you let them kind of come up to room temperature. So I'm going to sear those. I have some onions, some carrots, some potatoes. We've got some seasons. We're going to throw all of this in our little disposable dish here. I've been going easy today, and pop this in the oven, and this will be a delicious supper. And I'm also going to do some greens. I'm going to show y'all how I like to make my greens, which is probably just typical how most people do them. So I'm going to be showing you 2 different things. And after I get all this done and we get it put together and in the oven, I'll show you how I like to make my greens. But anyway, let me get all these seared up, y'all, and I'll be back. Okay, y'all, this was going hot, so I had to get fast with it. But look at our ribs here, our little country style ribs. I just seared them up really nice, and see how they get so pretty with that paprika. That's what I love about it. And I'm going to use this disposable pan, but I always sit it on a like a cookie sheet or baking sheet, just because it's more sturdy and you can get it in and out of the oven better that way. So what I've done now, after I got all that seared up, I just tossed in our onions and our carrots, and see, it just gets all that good stuff off of the bottom here. And now I'm going to go ahead and throw in our potatoes. And all I used here was like a large onion, 1 bag of carrots that I scrubbed them with my little brush and chopped them up. And then I bought a little bag of these potatoes. These are the gold and the red. And some of them were bigger, and so I sliced them in half. And then some of the little bitty ones, I just left them whole. I really do like to slice them because I feel like you get all that flavor in there a little bit better. But you can do it any way you want. And y'all know I've told you before, these hold their shape and texture really good when you're cooking something like this. So you can go ahead and toss it all in at one time. Now I'm just going to give this a few tosses, and we may have too much in here to do much with it, but we'll at least get all that stuff off the bottom if nothing else. Get that good flavor off. So I'm gonna let this go for just a few minutes, y'all, and we're gonna add that in here and then all of our other stuff and throw it in the oven. Okay, y'all, I have all of this ready to go in the pot here. I got that skillet just good and clean, got all that good stuff off of there. Look at that. Gets every bit of that off, y'all. And that's why I do that. Now listen, if you don't have time to do all this searing, you know I tell y'all this. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and just throw it all in here and let it go. And it will be good that way too. So now I'm just going to kind of push all that down in there a little bit. And like I said, you can do this in the crock pot too. I have a little bit of chicken broth here left in the fridge, so I'm going to use this. Now you can do beef broth if you want to. You can do any kind of liquid you want. You could even do water because we're going to add so much seasoning. It'll still be good like that. So that's all the broth that I had. So I have some water here, and I'm just going to add in some of this chicken powder and just make us up a little broth, okay? Let's see. So I have about 2 cups of water here, so I'm going to add in a big heaping spoonful. About like that. I don't know the exact measurements for this, but it ain't gonna matter. You're supposed to put this in boiling water, so if this don't work, it'll be fine because it'll heat up and come apart whenever we cook it. It's kind of clumping up. Normally I do put that in boiling water, but it's alright. It's working just fine. It'll all work out. Alright, so now I'm gonna just pour some of that in. Now you can do however much broth you want, just remember, you're going to have some liquid cookout of the onions and the meat and all that. So I think that's going to be enough for now. I'll check it and possibly add more. Now here's going to be our seasonings and spices we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of our W sauce, of course. We'll sprinkle some of that over. I'm about out of this. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And there's that. And I have some garlic here. And I just have some cloves, and I'm just going to roughly slice this up and just sprinkle it all over it. You can leave them whole, but I feel like this will help distribute it out a little bit better, y'all. Now, there's nothing better than a big one-pot meal like this. You know what? A good roast cooking in the oven or crock pot, it always smells so good, and it's just so comforting. I love it. This was something I used to cook whenever my boys were young, and whenever I'd be off during the week, I have a day off, I would spend my day in the kitchen, and I would typically cook something like this, and I cherish those memories. All right, so now I'm going to do a package of the onion soup mix. Sprinkle that over the whole thing. Now, if you want to mix all of these in with your water or broth or whatever, you can do that, but I just typically go this route. Package of brown gravy. Sprinkle that over. And that brown gravy will help thicken that broth up too. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little bit of this savory pot roast seasoning mix. I'll hold it up here because I know it's backwards. That way y'all can see it good. It's just a little seasoning packet. And I don't know if I'll use this whole pack. I can't remember, y'all. It's been so long. So I think I may just use a little bit and then I'll taste later and see if I want to add the rest. And we're not going to do no salt, you know, because we have all of this stuff going in there. We may add some later. All right, so now I'm going to do some black pepper over all of it. Okay, let's see if we can kind of, now like I said, I like sprinkling it over like this because I feel like it kind of cooks on those veggies really good whenever I do it like this. But now you can definitely mix it up if you're not comfortable doing it like this. I like it whenever it gets on there and it gives it all that dark color like that. Let's see, I think I'm gonna do just a smidge more water, okay? We have a lot of seasoning in there. Let's see, so just, you know, use your own judgment on your liquid. You really can't go wrong with this. There we go. I think that's gonna do it, y'all. And I'm just going, I have my oven on 350. I'm going to pop this in there. Let that slow cook. Let me see here. Let me show y'all this. Don't that look so good and savory? Okay, y'all. I'm going to cover this with foil, get this in the oven, get all my mess cleaned up. I've got a disaster in here. You know how it is when you're cutting and washing and doing all the veggies and everything. I'm going to get this in there, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go ahead and show y'all how I like to do my greens. And I've got to fry my bacon and all that. So anyway, but I'll be back. Okay, y'all, let's get these greens going. So I have a little bit of bacon grease here in my pot. You can see I just fried up a little bit of bacon, not much. We're going to garnish with this. So I'm going to leave that bacon grease in there. It's not much, just a couple tablespoons. And now what I'm going to do is put a little bit of onion in. Not too much, just a little bit. I basically do these kind of like I do my white beans. Of course, I use a few different ingredients. But I kind of do it the same way with the way that I cook it. Here's my greens, y'all. I got this. I know this looks like a lot, but I have some collards under here, and I have turnip greens. Now, I just went easy and bought the bag kind, because that is a lot of chopping, a lot of washing. Now, I'll go ahead and wash them too again, but at least you don't have to chop them up and all that. So, I have, like I said, I have both turnip greens and collard greens. And I still have some over here that wouldn't fit in my bowl if we need them. You know, you just don't ever know how much it's going to cook down, but it's going to cook down a lot. So I've got those ready to go. We're going to cook this onion down just for a few minutes, y'all. And then I'll be back in a second. All right, y'all, our onions have cooked down really good. And now we're going to go ahead and start adding our liquid. So I have 2 cups of water here. We're going to toss that in. I have 2 more cups. Now we may add more. This is just what we're starting with, because we never know how much we're going to need when it comes to the greens. All right, let me get that out of the way. And then I have 4 chicken bouillon cubes here. I'm going to toss those in. Now this one got, some of it broke off. And then we have our smoked ham hock here. Wait, pork hock, ham hock, I'm not sure what it is, but I just know I use it for season. And I always cut little pieces out in it. My grandmother always did that. She used hog's jaw, and she would always cut it on each side. I'm not sure why, but I just have been doing that ever since. So we're going to toss that in. Okay, now I'm just going to let this sit here with just those few things and come up to a good boil and cook for a little bit, and then we're going to add the rest of our spices and our greens, and we will go from there, y'all. So I'll be back. Okay, y'all, our smoked meat has been boiling now for about 30 minutes or so. You can kind of do that however long you want. Sometimes if I have more time, I'll go ahead and let it boil a little bit longer, but we're going to go ahead and get this thing going. So now we're going to add our other things and our greens. So I'm going to do a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I'm about out of this. Good thing I don't need much. So I think I'm going to do about, let's see, about 2 capfuls to start with. And I always just kind of taste these and go back. And if I need to add anything or whatever, that's what I do. Okay, so we're going to do that. We added our vinegar. And now, of course, we're going to do a little bit of sugar. And I'm thinking just a good, sprinkle in just like that. Again, I always taste, and then I know if I need to add more. I'm going to do a little bit of our Tony's. Y'all know I love this, so I'm just going to sprinkle some of that in, not much. And I'm going to do some crushed red pepper. Let's see. Just a little bit. I do like them to be a little bit spicy, and that Tony's adds a little bit of spice too. Let's see. Maybe about that much. About half a teaspoon or so. Okay, we got that. I'm going to do a little bit of garlic powder. Now you can do fresh garlic if you want. I'm just going to do some of the powder, y'all. Sprinkle some of that in. And then I'll probably do a little salt and pepper, but I'll wait a minute on that. All right, now here's our greens. We're going to just start adding these in. And y'all, I told you I had a bag of the collards and a bag of the turnip greens. Well, actually, I just looked, And I bought 2 different bags. One bag is all collard greens, and the other bag is called southern greens. It actually has the collards, turnip greens, and mustard greens in it, which is totally fine. I just misread it. And they're cut a little bit bigger. As you can see, they're down here on the bottom, and they're cutting a little bit bigger pieces, which is totally fine. But it's just a mix. And sometimes I even add kale into it. Y'all tell me, what kind of greens do you like to do? Alright, well, I got that in there, and we're going to see if we can get this mixed up here in a second. Alright. I know, it don't take no time for it to go down. Let me turn it back up a little bit so it can boil down. Well, I got that right there. I'm going to go ahead and add my pepper. Do a little bit of pepper in. And I'm going to hold off on my salt because I added so many of those bouillon cubes. I'll wait till I do a taste test before I do that. Y'all, this is going to be so good. And I love for these just to cook for a long time, don't you? Alright, y'all, let me let these cook down for just a second. We're going to see how much we have because I have a few more over here that I can add if we need to, and I'll be back. Hey y'all, real quick while we're waiting on those to cook down or whatever, look at these beautiful tomatoes that I found today. Do those not look good? Now I know these are not fresh garden tomatoes, but they do look really good for this time of the year. So I'm going to slice one of these up later. I bought 2 of them. They're beautiful. These would be great for sandwiches or anything. And then of course I grabbed me some cucumbers. I'm just in the mood for good spring vegetables, and if you can't get fresh garden cucumbers, I feel like these little bags right here are the next best thing. So once I get all this done and closer time to eat, I'm going to slice some of these up, and I like to soak them in ice water and then drizzle on a little bit of vinegar and salt and pepper. That's how I like to have mine. But anyway, I'm going to let these cook down a little bit longer, y'all. I just wanted to show y'all this. This is something that's going to go with our supper, and it's going to be so good. Alright, y'all, this is what I was talking about. These the other bag that I got is called Southern Greens, and you can see it has collard, turnip, and mustard greens. The only thing about these, they have more of the stem in there, whereas the collards were shredded up really nice and thin, and you didn't have that many in there. But I had just a little bit left, and I got those stems out and washed these, and so I'm going to toss those in, and that's going to be it, y'all. That's all we're going to do. And I'm just going to cut this down. And I'm just going to let this slow cook along with our pot roast. Slow cook, and there's another stem. I'm trying to get out as many of the stems as I can. Like I said, the collards, they didn't really have any. They were chopped up real nicely. But you can't complain when you don't get them and cut them up yourself, right? So I'm going to put the lid on this, y'all, and, well, settle it. Cut that down. I'll taste them here in just a little bit and see if I need to add anything else, but pretty much that's it. I may tweak it a little bit, depending. And we have our pot roast in the oven, and y'all, I'm gonna end this video because it's gonna be several hours before all this is done. But I will come back later, and I will show you whenever I plate all this up and show you the end result of that delicious pot roast. It's smelling so good. I hadn't checked it yet, but I will here in a little bit. And I'll show you these turnip greens. I may make some cornbread, and we're going to have sliced tomato and cucumber. All right, I will see y'all later this afternoon. Bye-bye.